This was the Titanoboa, a creature that dwarfed even the most formidable predators of its newfound domain. Imagine a python, but multiplied in every dimension, its body as thick as a tree trunk, its length stretching for over 50 feet, perhaps even 60. Its scales, a mosaic of deep emeralds and mottled browns, allowed it to vanish seamlessly into the dense undergrowth, its movements a silent undulation through the ferns and underbrush. Its eyes, deep-set and unblinking, held an ancient, predatory intelligence, reflecting the lush, green world it now dominated. The first disappearances were attributed to the usual suspects: a swift attack by a pack of Deinonychus, a lone Stegosaurus caught off guard by a Tyrannosaurus rex. But then, the evidence began to change. Whole herds of smaller, agile dinosaurs, like the swift Dryosaurus, would vanish without a trace, leaving only crushed foliage and an inexplicable, lingering scent of something cold and primordial. Massive trees, once sturdy pillars of the forest, were found snapped in half, not by the impact of a charging Triceratops, but by a force that suggested crushing, coiling power. One day, a young, adventurous Apatosaurus, named Pondera by his herd for his thoughtful nature, strayed too far from the protective circle of his family. He was a curious soul, fascinated by the iridescent wings of the dragonflies and the vibrant bloom of the ancient flowers. He found himself at the edge of a great swamp, its murky waters shrouded in mist, the air thick with the buzzing of insects. He knelt to drink, his long neck dipping towards the green surface. A ripple disturbed the water, not the usual splash of a fish, but something slow, deliberate, and vast. He lifted his head, a prickle of unease crawling up his spine. The mist seemed to thicken, forming indistinct shapes. And then, he saw it. A head, massive and triangular, emerged silently from the swamp, its scales glistening with water, its eyes fixed on him with an unsettling, patient gaze. It was the color of decaying leaves, blending perfectly with the swamp's ancient depths. Pondera froze, not in fear, but in sheer, incomprehensible awe. He had never seen anything so immense, so utterly primal. Before he could even register the danger, before the primal instinct to flee could ignite, the water around the creature began to churn. Pondera felt a vibration through the ground, a low thrumming that seemed to resonate in his very bones. The colossal body of the Serpent King began to uncoil from the swamp, revealing its unimaginable length, its girth. It moved with a terrifying grace, a silent, relentless advance. The last thing Pondera saw was the flash of an enormous, gaping maw, filled with rows of needle-sharp teeth, before darkness consumed him. His herd waited, bellowing mournfully into the deepening twilight. But Pondera never returned. His disappearance, unlike the others, was witnessed, albeit briefly, by a lone pteranodon soaring high above, its keen eyes catching the impossible silhouette of the Titanoboa as it swallowed its prey whole, before sinking back into the murky depths as if it had never been there. The pteranodon let out a shriek, a sound of pure terror, and fled, carrying the dreadful truth across the vast expanse of the jungle. News of the Serpent King spread like wildfire through the dinosaur kingdom. The mighty Tyrannosaurus rex, once the undisputed king, found itself facing an adversary it could not simply overpower with brute force. Its roar, once a declaration of dominance, now seemed to carry a hint of desperation when it came to the hidden horror. Even the formidable Triceratops, with its armored frill and sharp horns, learned to eye every shadow, every rustle in the undergrowth with suspicion. The herbivore herds, usually fearless in their numbers, became skittish, their grazing patterns disrupted. They huddled closer, their instincts screaming of a hidden threat. Watering holes, once bustling hubs of life, became places of extreme caution, each creature drinking quickly, nervously, constantly scanning the surrounding foliage for any sign of movement, any hint of that colossal, silent form. The vibrant sounds of the Jurassic jungle, once a cacophony of life, were now punctuated by long, unnerving silences, moments when every creature held its breath, listening for the telltale rustle of the Serpent King. The carnivores, too, found their hunting grounds diminished. The Titanoboa was not a creature that hunted for sport, nor did it leave scraps. It consumed its prey whole, leaving nothing behind but a lingering sense of absence, a void where life had once been. Smaller predators, like the agile Compsognathus, found themselves competing not just with larger dinosaurs, but with the terrifying, unfillable hunger of the Serpent King. One particularly brave, or perhaps foolish, pack of velociraptors, renowned for their cunning and coordination, decided to hunt the monster. They were sleek, intelligent hunters, with razor-sharp claws and a thirst for challenge. They had heard the legends, seen the fear in the eyes of larger beasts, and dismissed them as mere hyperbole. They believed their speed and intelligence would be enough to outwit any creature. They tracked the familiar scent of musk and decay that now marked the Titanoboa's presence. They found it coiled around the colossal trunk of an ancient redwood, its immense body a living, breathing rope, its scales shimmering in the dappled sunlight. It was sleeping, or at least appeared to be. The raptors, their eyes gleaming with predatory intent, circled cautiously, their low chirps and clicks the only sounds in the suddenly silent forest. They launched their attack, a coordinated flurry of leaping strikes, their sickle claws aimed at the Serpent King's head and vulnerable underbelly. But the Titanoboa was not truly asleep. Its senses, honed by millions of years of evolution in a future that would never come to pass, were incredibly acute. It moved with a speed that defied its size, a blur of immense scales and muscle. One raptor, too daring, too close, was caught in a lightning-fast coil, its desperate screeches cut short as its bones compressed, shattered, its life extinguished in an instant. The others, momentarily stunned, tried to retreat, but the Serpent King was now fully awake, its massive head raised, its forked tongue flickering, tasting the fear in the air. It struck again, not with a bite, but with the sheer force of its body, a massive tail sweeping through the air like a colossal whip, sending two more raptors sprawling, their bodies limp and broken. The remaining raptors, their arrogance replaced by pure terror, fled, their yelps of fear echoing through the trees. They had learned a terrible lesson: some monsters were not meant to be hunted, only survived. Survival in the age of the Serpent King became an art form. Dinosaurs learned to read the subtle signs of its presence, the unnerving silence that fell over the jungle, the sudden cessation of bird calls, the faint, earthy scent of its skin. They learned to avoid the deeper parts of the swamps, the densest thickets, the places where a creature of such immense proportions could move unseen. The mighty Brachiosaurus, with its towering neck and immense bulk, discovered that even its height offered little protection. One particularly hot afternoon, a Brachiosaurus herd was feeding on the highest leaves of the conifer trees. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifted violently. A vast, dark shadow detached itself from the base of a particularly massive redwood, a shadow that moved with sinister purpose. The Serpent King, in its cunning, had learned to use the cover of the largest trees, not just the ground. It rose, higher and higher, its scales glinting, its eyes fixed on the vulnerable neck of the lead Brachiosaurus. The herbivore let out a terrified bellow, a sound that shook the very ground. The Titanoboa struck, not with a bite, but with its sheer momentum, slamming its head into the Brachiosaurus's neck, sending the towering creature stumbling. Then, with horrifying speed, it coiled, its immense body wrapping around the Brachiosaurus's legs, tightening, pulling it down. The struggle was short, brutal. The sheer force of the Serpent King was unstoppable. The other Brachiosaurus, panicked, fled, their thunderous retreat leaving the Serpent King alone with its latest, colossal prey. Years turned into decades, and the legend of the Serpent King grew, etched into the very instincts of the Jurassic inhabitants. Its presence shaped the landscape, created pathways of fear. Certain areas became forbidden zones, marked by the crushed trees and the lingering, chilling scent of the Titanoboa. Life, resilient as it was, adapted. Smaller dinosaurs evolved even keener senses, faster reflexes. Larger ones developed new defensive behaviors, always vigilant, always aware. But the Serpent King itself remained an enigma. Was it truly alone? Or were there others, hidden deeper within the earth, waiting to emerge? The thought sent shivers down the spines of even the most ancient sauropods. Its lifespan was unknown, its true motives unknowable. It simply existed, a force of nature, an anomaly, a terrifying disruption to the natural order of the Jurassic. One particularly stormy evening, as torrential rain lashed down and lightning illuminated the jungle in blinding flashes, a group of wary triceratops huddled together, their armored hides shedding the water. A tremendous crack of thunder split the air, followed by a blinding flash that revealed, for a terrifying instant, a colossal silhouette against the stormy sky. It was the Serpent King, its massive body draped across a ridge, its head silhouetted against the tumultuous heavens, looking down upon the world it now dominated. It seemed to embody the very chaos of the storm, a primal force unleashed. Its reign was absolute, unchallenged. It was a silent, relentless predator, a specter of primordial fear that haunted every shadow, every rustle, every moment of stillness. The Jurassic Period, a world already teeming with danger, found its ultimate terror in the form of this impossible serpent. And as the centuries flowed like rivers, the legacy of the Serpent King endured, a chilling tale whispered through the eons, a reminder that even in a world of giants, true fear could coil silently, unseen, until it struck. The Jurassic may have belonged to the dinosaurs, but the shadow, the very breath of dread, belonged to the Serpent King.